All right, now for more on this, we are being joined by Mitali Nikor, economist and founder of Nikor Associates, live from Bengaluru. Welcome, Mitali, to World Business Watch. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. How do you anticipate the Union Budget 2024 could drive India's economic growth at the moment?
Good morning, Shivan, and very nice to join WION today on this discussion and list out some of the budget expectations that we've been tracking closely, particularly on this point that you talked about in terms of wealth creation and broad basing wealth creation. So I think the first major expectation that I have based on the data that we've been analyzing at Nikor Associates for the last 10 years or so is that capital expenditure, in my view, is still set to increase for another year. I mean, if you look at the capital expenditure trends for the last decade, there's been a year-on-year increase every year. And last year was one of the largest increases at 11%, where the capital expenditure was set at 11 lakh crores. Now, what this essentially means is that this government views infrastructure investments as one of the major tools of wealth creation, and that's absolutely logical. It is a well-proven tactic which has been working in many emerging economies as well as developed economies, and I do think that this is the right direction for the government to go in. However, my wish list, not the expectation, but a wish list here would be for more investment to come in climate resilient infrastructure, because we have been seeing a lot of increase in climatic events, flooding and heat waves and the like. And there is a need for more research, but also more investment from the public sector in, infrastructure facilities to actually manage and adapt to these climatic events. The second point that I really want to... So the second point I really want to emphasize in terms of wealth transfers and creation is around centrally sponsored schemes. Mm-hmm. So, centrally sponsored schemes are one of the major tools that governments use to support state governments and work with state governments to have more social sector spending. The PM Awas Yojana, which you were just talking about, the affordable housing scheme, is a centrally sponsored scheme. I do expect that, the allocations for centrally sponsored schemes will increase, and we might even see a few new ones getting announced.
Mitali, that was essentially what I wanted to come to next. The initiatives that are expected to promote affordable housing and urban renewal projects. If there's anything further you'd like to elaborate, please go ahead.
Yeah. So absolutely. So, the government has a very important program that is currently being implemented called the Cities Program, mm-hmm. which the National Institute of Urban Affairs is actually implementing at the moment. And this is one of the biggest needs of our country, because we are seeing the urban population increase, and the proportion of the urban population is expected to reach 60% in the next 10 years. So we really need to invest more in urban renewal, rejuvenation, drainage, sewerage. And I do expect that the Jal Jeevan Mission Urban, mm-hmm. the Smart City Mission Urban, and the Cities Program, all three will get much larger allocations, an increase of between 10 to 15% for each of them.
Mitali, when we speak about smart cities on one side, and then we also talk about rural infrastructure on the other end, how do you reckon that the budget can support the development of both together?
No, absolutely. I mean, this is something which, we have been seeing as a tightrope that the budget has been trying to walk in terms of urban development and rural development. And within urban development, smart cities are one spectrum, because smart cities are digitally enabled cities. Smart cities are talking about how can we, enable tech-related solutions. Imagine a smart traffic light or a smart water meter or a smart parking system. These are all elements of a smart city. But we need to see more and more investment in this, because this is what is going to bring us a lot of efficiencies in terms of the maintenance costs of the infrastructure, in terms of the improvements of the infrastructure. But at the same time, there is no reason why through our Ministry of Rural Development, which is focusing a lot on irrigation infrastructure and focusing a lot on agri-business infrastructure, logistics, combining these is when we really unleash the true power of infrastructure development as a whole.
All right, Ms. Nikor, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all your insights. That was Mitali Nikor, economist and founder of Nikor Associates, joining us right here on World Business Watch. Pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much, Shivan.
All right, we move further. Expectations are running high as India's budget is just around the corner. But what are people expecting? Let's take a look at that. Let's listen into the buzz around the budget. Here you go.
Yeah, coping with these things are really impossible in today's era. Just that we can feel that we just save money and cost cut with our expensive things. We'll try to buy some local stuffs instead of buying expensive things. Then I can think of cutting off with the many prices. But yeah, government should think over subsidies. They are putting lots and lots of tax over everything. In spite we are paying tax to them. And they should think about GST. They should cut off this GST from at least from food things and that apparels and all the things. Yeah.
I am expecting a lot from this budget, especially now. Since it's a new regime under Prime Minister Modi, I would like to recommend how they got standard reductions of around Rs 50,000 in the previous budget. Similarly, they can pick reforms from older budgets like ATC. It is very beneficial. Most of the people benefit from it along with medical deductions. It will lead to the standard savings of Rs 1.5 lakhs, which will be very beneficial. Otherwise, they can also increase standard reductions. Another thing I want to highlight in this budget is the tax exemptions on rent. Now, there's a lot of difference in the exemptions when it comes to metros and non-metros. Even in metro cities, only 4 major cities come under this purview. They should expand this as the infrastructure expands and new cities are now under the label of metro cities. Still, we are following older regimes when it comes to recognizing metro cities for additional tax exemptions.